Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and I love a little bit of uphill travel before the lifts open. And that's why today I'm talking about the Union Rover Carbon, an approach ski that I've been using a lot. I've put a lot of days on this with Union bindings or other Splitboard bindings. I've actually been riding it with Driftboard bindings that now mount on this very well. And this has become my solution for powder days so I can get some extra turns before the lifts open. But I have tried these with expeditions, regular chargers, the old Charger FCs that I have here, and my Spark R&D bindings. I've ridden these with a lot of different boots as well. I also compared these against the regular Rovers, the Driftboard Cascades, the regular wider Driftboard Carbons with a higher end skin that I still use on deep untracked days where there isn't an established skin track. Several Splitboards like my Cardiff Pagoda Pro Carbon and many others from Jones and many brands. So let's get into the Splitboard alternative dating app. Some things that'll make you want to swipe right. Driftboard bindings are compatible with them as well as Splitboard bindings. They have edges where Driftboards don't. A disruption in the side cut to give you a little bit more grip between the feet. Much better side hilling with this side cut versus the Driftboards with Driftboard bindings on, and especially so with Splitboard bindings on. The skin has very good glide. These are very light, and when there's no wind, it's easier to travel uphill with these than it is with a Splitboard on. And they're my primary way to travel uphill. Some things that'll make you want to swipe left. These don't float as well in deep powder as the Driftboards. They have a really long tail that's not as easy to fit on your back as the Driftboards. While these are great for a quick mission up the hill before the lifts open, they're not ideal on long tours. When it gets windy for all these approach skis, sometimes you feel like you have a sail on your back. And as you know, we put out honest, objective, unbiased reviews without any brand oversight. And we can do that thanks to the support of shops like Blower Board Shop. They have a strong presence online. So if you want to support the Good Ride and keep objective reviews flowing, check out Blower Board Shop, click through our links and see if something works for you there. So when it comes to weight, these Rovers with the Charger Carbon, which is somewhat similar to the Charger Pro, you're looking at 3.8 pounds per foot. With the regular Chargers, you're looking at 4 pounds per foot. With the Driftboard bindings, you're looking at 2.6 pounds per foot. So in comparison to the regular Rovers with Driftboard bindings on, you're looking at about 2.8 pounds versus 2.6. But it changes Rover to Rover because they are using wood inside. Now, if you compare it to the Driftboard Carbons with the mohair skins, the high-end lighter skins, you're looking at 2.4 pounds. If you have the regular skins, it's more like 2.5 or 2.6 pounds. In comparison to the regular Cascades with nylon skins, you're looking at 2.6 pounds. So all of these are a good bit less than a full-on Splitboard. Even really ultralight Splitboards are still around 5.5, 6 pounds. Most Splitboards, when you have skins, bindings, are closer to 7. So when you add a board and bindings on your back, and these, you have more overall weight, but the weight distribution is better with these because a pound of weight on your foot is equal to 6 pounds on your back. It's just like when people are geeking on faster cars, they're always trying to reduce the wheel weight. It's a similar principle to this because extra weight on your feet makes it much harder to walk as long as there's no wind. On a windy day, I'm desperate for a Splitboard. On a day without wind, when I go up on the Rover Carbons or the Rovers or the Driftboards, and then I switch to a Splitboard, it's very hard to go up after being on approach skis like this because it's so light on your feet. It's so easy to go uphill. If you have back problems though, like one of my friends does, she just doesn't like uphill travel with a backpack on at all, so she always defers to a split. If you see a lot of wind, you're gonna like a split board better because you don't have a sail on your back. You don't have to do some weird tacking to get up to the top of a hill. But for me, these are great because the advantages of riding a solid board with solid bindings like my Union Force, which I love, and before that my Atlas, which I loved. I just get a much better ride down, especially being on a solid versus a split. The down is just so much better, and even average riders like myself really feel that. And then I can go ride the resort and deal with uneven snow and not have to ride a hybrid split board binding that has no shock absorption and less response, and they're far less damp too. So let's talk uphill. This little bit of camber actually really helps. In comparison to the Driftboard Carbon, it's flat throughout, but there isn't any early rise in the tail here, just in the nose. You can see the nose peaks up a little higher with the Driftboards. They don't have a side cut though. They're very wide underfoot, but they're shorter. So these do better in powder. These have a little more purchase with the skins going uphill than the Rovers that have rocker here at the end. I like the uphill travel a lot better with the Rovers because they have edges. They grip harder snow better without having to go right to crampons with the urethane edges of the Driftboard Carbons. They also side hill a lot easier because there's a side cut and you can really leverage in and side hill easier. They're narrower than the Driftboards, which are pretty wide where your foot is, so they're much harder to side hill. I slide out a lot more. With the much narrower Cascade Carbon, these side hill a lot better, but you're still missing an edge and a side cut. So this helps, but then you're sacrificing float and powder. These for me were mainly only when the skin track is very well established and packed in. Then these do great. This was a nice compromise between the Cascade and the regular Drift Carbon Pro. With the binding on, the Sidehilling is exceptional. I felt like it just gripped so well. And if I had regular chargers on that have a hole here and here, I would take my strap-ins and wrap them around the top, and it really just adds to the side hill capability. It's not quite hard boot level, but it's much better than this, and it does an exceptional job. So if you're going up a lot of steep terrain and you're primarily riding soft snow to powder, you're not seeing a lot of uneven snow, you're not gonna go ride the resort after you do an uphill adventure or two before the lifts open, then this is a better option. But if you're somebody like me, going with Driftboard bindings and the Rover Carbons is an excellent solution because it gives me much better side hilling than the Driftboard Carbons. Now, when it comes to deep powder, I found these a good bit more challenging than my Rover Carbons. If I'm getting up super early, I know I'm gonna be one of the first people to set the skin track, then I'm taking these. They just sit on top of deep powder a little better. They're not amazing compared to a split board, but man, being able to ride any solid you want to go down with, I'm willing to give it a little more work, especially when they're light. I definitely prefer these over untracked skin tracks and deep powder versus these. I also love putting these on my back versus the Rovers. I have to angle down and I'm always feel like these tails get in the way to climb down a snow wall when I get back to the parking lot after my morning adventures. And these make it a little more tricky than these. But these days, this combination is my daily driver. You can buy these separately from Driftboards. You don't have to buy the Rovers with bindings from Union either. So if you go Rover or Rover Carbon, I think this is the best solution. And in comparison to a split board, when I'm going out on long tours, I want that split board. I can put more in my backpack, like food, etc. I don't have to worry about wind. And with good split board bindings and strap-ins on the top, I've got the best side hilling you can get. These are close though, very close, especially with bindings on. And that's what I take when I'm going for a longer splitboard mission and I'm not riding the lifts and I see a lot of soft snow. If you're somebody who wants to build a jump in the backcountry, this blows doors over splitboards because you never take the skins off. It also makes the change time so much faster. For me, just going up the cone at Mount Bachelor, that's a very short route. You can do lots of laps if you want to, if you're not like me going back to the car to get another board to compare. But if you're just going down to the bottom of the cone and back up, down, back up, you can do several laps before the lifts open, and you never have to worry about managing skins. The transition time is so much faster, so it's best for jumps and cones. So overall, the Rovers aren't without issues, but right now the combination of the Driftboard binding along with the Union Rover carbon is my choice. I like this lighter, easier uphill carbon version versus the regular. It's not like how I feel about ultralight snowboards because I'm not going down with these, I'm only going up. So I don't need to worry about those ultralight problems like you have on snowboards. So there you have it, highly recommendable. I love that they transitioned from a black top sheet to a white top sheet so it doesn't heat up and collect more snow like the black ones did. I'd love to see less tail. I'd love to see more skin, maybe have a little more surface area so there's more float. But as it stands right now for established skin tracks and side hilling, this is the best approach ski out there.